What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you're new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe and maybe that notification bell too, as it all really helps out our channel. And you can now find us on podcast too, so you can take me with you wherever you go. And of course, if you feel like it, you can also support the channel either through YouTube membership or Patreon, where we have different tiers and have membership videos and things like that. And a shout out to Distortion Drive for joining us on the YouTube membership today. You're truly appreciated, as well as the rest of the members of our channel. Thank you so much. You're absolutely amazing. And with that being said, let's get in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from Looping Knots. Am I the arsehole for not including my recently divorced ex-wife on a family trip? 10 months ago, my wife of 15 years explained to me she had an interest in a co-worker, so I left it up to her to decide whether to open up our marriage. I figured it was just an exploratory phase, something she would have changed her heart about. After 5 months of being miserable with her going off with him nearly every weekend, I expressed to her I wanted to look for someone else. She replied that it would only push her to the other man. Nonetheless, I started seeing someone, and after the first day of me seeing someone else, my wife wanted a divorce. We've officially been divorced for a week. We have 3 kids together. We are also living together for the time being, while she and her boyfriend are closing on a house together. Recently, our family friend's wife contacted me and invited me and the kids to join her on a family trip. I planned on taking my girlfriend along with us. I explained to the family friend that if my family were to go on the trip, my kid's mother would not be going. They acknowledged and figured that was going to happen. Realistically, there is no room for 2 extra people. Personally, I have no interest in going on the trip with her and the man she left me for. She said that she was hurt that my girlfriend is going in her place and that she was ousted so soon. She suggested that it could just be me, her and the kids, as per usual before our divorce. While our papers were signed a week ago, I'm ready to settle into my new normal. Am I the arsehole for not including her? Edit. My oldest is 14 and has known about basically everything from the beginning. My younger 2 are 9 and 10. Both had suspicion about their mother's relationship with a boyfriend before finding out the gory details. Mine was a tidy secret until that point. Once the younger 2 learned the truth, they made the decision as to when they met my girlfriend. This has been 2 months today. The conflict for me falls to the other family, having been our friends for 14 years. Also the desire for things to remain healthy as possible between my ex and myself for the sake of the kids. My ex hopes to do things like this together as a family, and in the future maybe we can, but right now I don't think I could stomach it. I explained this to my ex and she seemed to be heartbroken at the notion. She's crying and I just feel irritated. Kinda makes me feel like an arsehole. The situation is centered around myself and my ex. The kids are actually doing pretty well. Edit 2. I spent 5 months doing everything I could think of to save us. She spent 5 months leaving me at home with the kids. Lie after lie and zero shits given about my feelings. The exact moment she met F, it was then she didn't want me to attend her Christmas party, as I have every year for over a decade. Her reasoning was she didn't want her co-workers to think she was a whore. Sounds to me like she was pushing a narrative that was no longer in the picture. That was the moment I realised where I stood, and that being faithful to her was a waste. My girlfriend walked into my life 3 days later. The hypocrisy and insanity that followed were truly unbelievable. After initial immediate demands for divorce, she decided that we should start working on our marriage. Step 1 was ditch my girlfriend. Mind you, I had known her for a week and had no real ties to her. Nothing to say how she would end a 5-month relationship with a man she works 40 hours a week with, and that is centric to her friend group. I may or may not be an arsehole for excluding her from this trip, but I'm not asking about the demise of the marriage. And we'll jump straight down into the comments with this one. Pinto Pet says, not the arsehole. She wasn't technically invited if I'm reading this right. Also, big yikes at it being okay for her to indulge in your new open marriage, but not you. The OP replies, she can't see the hypocrisy and double standard. She always justifies it by saying she and her boyfriend check all of each other's boxes. Hansful13 replies, great for her then, she no longer checks all your boxes. Most importantly, the trip's away box. She can not have her cake and eat it too. Not the arsehole, she should have thought of that before deciding to pursue another man. She's not being ousted because she's literally looking to move into a house with her boyfriend. She has a whole new life and seems to be just fine when you aren't going on a vacation. Better Kev replies to that, exactly, he did not oust her, she left him. She wants to have her cake and eat it too. Lots of cake in this one. Like the OP was saying in this one, the hypocrisy is just absolutely insane. So she can go off fucking with other men and this new boyfriend, but he can't do nothing, even though she's decided to open the marriage. As soon as she started talking about like wanting to open the marriage or talking about liking this other guy at her workplace, red flags would be up instantly. I wouldn't be happy about it. But that's just me. So now I turn it to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on the poll in the description. Our next story is from the Boogie Donkey. Am I the arsehole for throwing my mother-in-law out after she told my husband God is disappointed in him for marrying me? Me, 26 female, and my husband, 27 male, have been married nearly a year now, and due to COVID and him being really close to his family, we agreed that his mother could stay with us for a while. I've always been friendly with his mother, but we've never been as close as she is with his brother's girlfriend. Bear in mind, I've been dating my husband for 9 years, and my brother-in-law's only been with his girlfriend a year, and none of us knew her beforehand. My husband's family are Catholic, whereas I'm atheist, but that doesn't tend to affect things, as his family doesn't go to church, not even at Christmas. They seem to just hold those views. I hope you understand what I mean. The other day, after working all day and being really unwell due to period cramps, I have endometriosis. I decided I need to lie down, and my husband was fine with it and brought me some painkillers and some food. I woke up about an hour later to shouting. My mother-in-law was telling my husband that I was being lazy and how God is disappointed in him for choosing such a terrible wife. She believes I shouldn't work and should be pregnant by now if I was a good wife, that is. When my husband pointed out I have endometriosis and was in pain so needed some rest, she told him that I was faking it. There's no such thing because she's never had period pain. I'm fuming and decided to walk out to them and tell her to leave. She told me that I can't tell her to leave when it's her son's house. I paid the majority of the cost for the house, but I still consider it our house. I threw her stuff in a bin bag and threw it onto our driveway and told her to leave. She left in the end, and although my husband backs me, he believes I went too far, and I'm getting some very abusive messages from his family. I'm really sensitive due to my endometriosis, because I had a miscarriage last year, which his mother knows about, and at the time accused me of murdering my husband's child. Honestly, I think I've been calm and polite for way too long. I accepted her calling me a murderer because I thought it was giving her grief for her grandchild, but now I just can't put up with her anymore. I think I'm in the right. So Reddit, am I the arsehole? Pinto Pet says, not the arsehole. Number 1, so tired of in-laws declaring that shared houses belong to the man only. Number 2, you were letting her stay in your shared house. You showed her hospitality and she immediately talks trash the second you excuse yourself for feeling unwell. 3, knowing your history with miscarriages and continuing to make disgusting comments about it. Foolish, atrocious behaviour. You are not a baby machine to produce grandchildren for her. Yeet her, not the arsehole. Potato Sidekick replies and quotes, there's no such thing because she's never had period pain. Also this, the majority of women I know have period pain, so OP's mother-in-law is just an ignorant arsehole who is lucky enough to have a painless periods. OP is definitely not the arsehole. Traitor Queen replies, I've never experienced period pain, but I've seen my sisters in so much pain from it. They'd lie in bed with hot water bottles and the oldest even cried once, the pain was so bad. After seeing my sisters, I know how lucky I was. Based on the original post, I don't see how the OP could be the arsehole in any situation. The mother-in-law is just treated like it was said in there, is treating her like a baby machine. And to say period cramps aren't a thing because she doesn't get them. I can tell you now, I've seen a girl at work who gets them so bad, she has to go home immediately. I think I've said it before on our channel. She has to go home immediately when she gets them, and you can see how much in pain she is. You don't say a word to her because, whew, I feel sorry for anyone that suffers from that. Jesus. But anyway, I turn it to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to vote on the poll in the description for story 2. Our next story is from a throwaway account. Would I be the arsehole for advising my mum to get an abortion? She's 53 and just found out she's pregnant. My mum's 53 and pregnant. She was sick for the past few months and we were worried it was corona, but she didn't have respiratory issues. But last Monday she went to the emergency room after fainting and they found out she's 4 months pregnant. Yeah, she fainted again. We were all shocked. My entire family is in disbelief right now. Getting pregnant in your 40s is even dangerous and not medically advised, let alone a 53-year-old woman. Me and my little sister, 29, are shocked since we both have young kids. Now we're about to have another sibling. Plus my mother's old. I feel for her in childbirth, and my father is too old to watch a baby every day by himself. If worst case scenario, the birth or pregnancy is fatal. I know she's 3 months along, so I think if she should get an abortion, it should be now. The ultrasound already showed the baby heart has holes and the liver hasn't developed properly. My mum for her age is getting on the bigger side with blood pressure problems, and she has back problems, and they're retired. Her having a healthy baby pregnancy is not likely. On top of everything else happening in the world, I can't handle this too. She hasn't said anything much about anything, she's still in shock, but would it be wrong if I suggest she terminate the pregnancy before it's too late? Edit. I pay her and my father's rent, car insurance, other bills. I can't afford another baby that's not mine, plus a very high chance of physical and mental defects. I will bear the brunt of everything. I mean, my initial thoughts on that would be like, if you're advising that and you're having a nice conversation, like a nice as possible conversation about abortion that you can have, and you're being gentle with it, I don't see nothing wrong. As long as you're advising and not pressuring. I don't think you should pressure someone to do something like that. I think that's a bit crazy. But then at the same time, after that edit, that you pay for the rent, the car insurance, and all the other bills, I mean, that is putting the pressure onto you then. But I still don't think you can pressure someone into doing something like that. I don't think that's right. But let's have a look in the comments and see what we can find. Here we go. So MK0 says, not the arsehole for suggesting it. You would be if you put pressure on her. Son of a kicker dog? Strange name. I think if she already knows her mother's stance on it, then it could potentially be an arsehole move. Like if her mum has always clearly been pro-life. If her mum isn't pro-life, then the chance of abortion has already crossed her mind at least. It sounds cliche, but OP should always start by asking, are you considering all your options? Instead of opening by suggesting it. But it would work to ask about options and just note that they would support her if she decides to terminate. Justalza34 says, I'm going with not the arsehole, OP. I'm going with not the arsehole because OP is supporting their parents entirely right now, it sounds like. Look at that edit. If OP is the one that's expected to front the bills, I don't think they would be the arsehole to advise for an abortion. Rural Juro 1234 says, yeah, I was going to say it was none of her business until I saw the edit. And once again guys, I turn it to you. What do you guys think of the story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on the poll in the description for story 3. Our next story comes from Break Fasted. Am I the arsehole for being mean to my ex-girlfriend after she randomly showed up at my house upon hearing that my wife is pregnant? I am 28, married to my wife, 24, for 2 years. I only had 2 girlfriends prior to my wife. First was a high school ex who I dated from 15 to 18, at the age of 16. At the age of 16, she got pregnant by me. They were twins and we decided to keep them. Unfortunately, in her second trimester, she got into an accident and ended up miscarrying the twins. It was an insanely traumatic experience. After high school I went to university and eventually medical school, while she stayed back at home and got a job at a store. We drifted apart, but we still have each other on Facebook. She's a store manager now and got married when she was 25. We live in different parts of the country now. She still lives in my hometown, which is 11 hours away by car. A week ago I posted on Facebook that my wife and I are expecting our first child together. My ex liked the post and messaged me congratulations. Yesterday my wife and I came home around 10 PM. Then at 11, while we were watching TV in the living room, the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw a familiar face. After I asked who is it, my ex responded with her name. I opened the door and asked what she was doing here. She said she was in town and wanted to pay me a visit. Apparently my stepmom, who I have limited contact with, told her my address. I invited her inside because it was raining and introduced her to my wife. My ex literally sprang at my wife and gave her this big bear hug. She handed her a bag. Inside were a bunch of baby clothes and toys. My ex explained that she kept almost all the stuff that was given to us 12 plus years ago when we were expecting our twins. My wife knows the whole story, but she's still pretty confused as to why my ex was here. I was too. However, we let her sit with us in the living room, gave her some tea and fruits and talked to her for a bit, which was such a mistake. She revealed that her husband left her a month ago. She was legit crying at that point and didn't make much sense. She was babbling now how super pretty my wife was and how we're going to make a beautiful exotic babies and how we live such a wonderful life. Her rambling made me wonder if she was drunk or in a manic state. She eventually fell asleep on our couch. I wanted to wake her up, but my wife stopped me and said we should let her stay. In the middle of the night, my wife took her to the guest bedroom where she slept until noon. I left for work and at night my ex was still there. I told my wife in private that I didn't want the ex here, that we should tell her to go home. My wife said we should let her stay at least one more night, but I said that's not going to happen. After dinner, I told my ex she has to leave because frankly, I don't feel comfortable having her here. She got very upset and started crying and left our house in tears, then drove away. My wife was mad at me and said I lacked empathy by shooing away a vulnerable woman from our home. Am I crazy for not wanting my unstable ex around my pregnant wife? Edit, I called my ex's parents. Her dad told me they asked my ex to move in with them when she comes back home. She's driving back now. They've been talking to her on her drive back. Hopefully they will find her some professional help. I'm in sort of two minds about this one because I can totally see where OP's coming from. He's concerned that like if she's a bit mentally disturbed and his wife is pregnant, he doesn't want nothing to happen, especially what's happened in his past and the ex's past too. So I can see why he wants her out the house, but at the same time the wife is just showing so much empathy towards this woman because clearly the woman is not right in the head at the moment. She can see that her partner has moved on in life and the wife is now pregnant, so she's probably very jealous and has triggered something in her head, like the past from the twins and things. So I'm going to say not the arsehole for the OP because he's obviously just really worried about his wife and things, but at the same time your wife is absolutely amazing. What an amazing person. And let's go down in the comments below. Ms. L says, not the arsehole, but your wife sounds like a freaking saint. Came here to say this. Wow, OP, you married an amazingly kind woman. Autopop says, truly, I love women who uplift and see other women. X is truly in pain and clearly having a trauma response to the news of your baby and needs help. But for the record, you're not the arsehole for setting boundaries, and your wife is a woman we should all aspire to be in moments like this. Loved this post, and I'm sorry for your loss, and congratulations. Ted234 says, while I do agree with everything you said, I totally get the protective instinct OP had by expelling her from their house. It's not just about setting boundaries or being empathetic, like some have said, but outright protecting his wife and their baby from harm. Since you can never know what kind of action someone who's clearly having a mental breakdown and just drove 11 hours to their ex's house who just had a baby years with no contact is going to take. She certainly still had feelings for OP, and her husband leaving her and OP having a child triggered something that could be extremely harmful. To be fair, I wouldn't even let her stay alone there with wife while I'm at work, but I'd be as diplomatic as possible. And again, I'm going to turn it to you guys. What do you guys think of the story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on the poll in the description for story 4. Anyway guys, that is it for today's stories. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, there's another one on your screen as we speak. And as always, thank you very much for the time out your day. It's absolutely amazing that you joined me. I'm still blown away that people like still watch these videos. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Much love now. Goodbye.